tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon with Max Gifford. I'm Nico Horning, now joined by the former Sacramento Kings broadcaster Grant Napear here with us. Grant, just want to let you know, I mean, I wouldn't be here without you today. You are my childhood voice. I grew up listening to you for so many games, and this is just awesome to have you now on our show here at college as I'm trying to pursue the career that you did. So just want to thank you.
I'm thrilled to be with you guys. Nico, it's been so fun for me to watch you blossom and listening to your tapes in high school and now in Syracuse and going over your work and seeing how you are elevating in the profession. I'm very happy for you. But thank you for the kind words. It's great to be on with you guys.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Grant. I just want to start with your New York connection. Obviously, you grew up in Long Island. You're a big New York Giants fan. I don't know if Syracuse had any part to do with your upbringing, or if Syracuse athletics were a huge. Okay, I want to hear it. I want to hear what Syracuse had to play into your childhood.
I got recruited to play lacrosse at Syracuse. I was an outstanding lacrosse player at Syosset. I was all county. I broke the school record for most goals in a season. And Syracuse was one of the schools that I looked at. The reason why I did not go to Syracuse is they were a national powerhouse, and I wanted to go to a school where I could play for 4 years. I thought if I go to Syracuse, you know what, I may not even get on the field until my junior year, and there's no pro lacrosse back then. And so, and you know what, I had enough of the cold weather, but then I ended up in Bowling Green, Ohio, where it's also frigid and cold. But yeah, Syracuse to me, always watching Syracuse basketball as a kid. You know, I used to go to Madison Square Garden a lot to watch St. John's play Syracuse, Seton Hall, Villanova, Georgetown. So, yeah, Syracuse has always been a part of my upbringing in the New York area, especially when it comes to college basketball.
That's awesome.
I was going to say, Grant, I'm noticing you got a really nice Golden Knight sweatshirt on right now. I just wanted to comment. Yeah. That's a great sweatshirt you're wearing. But going back to, you talk about how Syracuse played into your upbringing. Talk about is kind of how you broke into broadcasting. I know you talked about being a lacrosse player, but when did you maybe think like, oh, broadcasting might be something I want to pursue for my career?
And first of all, to your first part, George McPhee is one of my very best friends, my college roommate from Bowling Green, who is the president of hockey operations for Vegas to put the whole team together. So that's why I'm sporting that. But anyway, I knew what I wanted to do. I was lucky, guys. I knew what I wanted to do when I was like in third or fourth grade. I grew up with Christopher Mad Dog Russo. He and I lived right around the corner from one another, and we were together all the time, and we were just sports junkies. And I would play basketball on the school ground as a fourth and fifth grader, and announce the game at the same time. And kind of like what you guys have done. I just practiced and practiced and practiced. Now, back when I was growing up, I didn't have cell phones. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have the ability to listen to announcers all over the country. But I grew up, speaking of Syracuse, Marv Albert is the guy that I modeled my career after. I used to listen to Marv do all the Rangers games on radio, all the Knicks games on radio. Then he anchored the sports on WNBC TV, Channel 4 in New York. So I was fortunate. Marty Glickman, I had a chance to listen to him do New York Giants games growing up. So it got me going at an early age. And I think just like what you guys have done, having that experience and announcing games really as a kid in grade school really propelled me into the career that I have today.
And Grant, now going to Sacramento, you've been there for a while. I mean, you were there for 32 years as the Kings broadcaster, but you also had a radio show during the afternoons. So, we're trying to get as much experience as we can here right now. But how did you like that balance of having the radio show in the afternoon and then going to call the game at night?
It's challenging. First of all, it's very challenging on your voice to do a 3 to 4 hour show and then have a really quick break and then do, a game for 2.5 hours. But the challenging part is, being a New Yorker and being a guy that grew up where sports talk radio was kind of in your face and it's about being opinionated. You know what? Sometimes you would ruffle the feathers on some of the guys on the team. And I had to walk a fine line because I traveled on the airplane and I was with these guys all the time. But the vast majority, and I mean 98% of the players understood that was my job. Most of the guys listened to my radio show, as I found out. So, I did it for 26 years on radio, 32 years, as the TV announcer for the Kings. So I guess I was doing something right because I had a lot of longevity.
Definitely. Well, before we continue the Kings and the broadcast talk, let's head to a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to get into more of Grant's career here on Newhouse Afternoon. You're listening to ESPN Syracuse and Q Sports Talk.
Home of the Syracuse Crunch.
You guys are clear. Could you check if that third headset is still on? Because I think we might be hearing back.
Okay. Grant, we still have you on here, by the way. For our viewers on here. So, you got it?
Yeah, that's good. That's me. No. Okay. You can talk? All right, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. Yeah, so Grant, we still have you on. This gives us a chance to ask you some more. We like to ask a lot of our guests some creative questions, especially talking about your career as a broadcaster. My favorite question always to ask is, what was your favorite venue or arena you've ever gotten to call in?
Madison Square Garden. I mean, I grew up in that building, not necessarily going to Knicks games, because when I was growing up, you couldn't get tickets to the Knicks, but always loved going to Madison Square Garden. It always had the most special place in my heart to do a game. And it was the best broadcast location. They put us right at center court across from the scores table. For me, being at Madison Square Garden once a year to do the Knicks game, there was nothing better than that. So I always look forward to that more than any other venue that I went to.
That's awesome. I mean, definitely a dream for you at that point. So, you're known for a couple of your catchphrases throughout the years. If you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball, and then the oh boy or the turn the sprinkler systems on, someone's been really hot. And, I'm sure a lot of people have heard it by now, not only in Sacramento, but across the country. I wanted to let you know that, funny enough, I'll be walking around, I'll be talking with friends, and all of a sudden I'll just yell, "Oh boy!" And it all stems from you, that you were saying it. Now it's kind of become a part of me. You know what they say? It's like you listen to someone so much growing up, and now you hear yourself choosing things that people said, and that's one of them for me. Is "Oh boy."
Well, I love that. As you guys grow and become professional broadcasters, when you get out of Syracuse, eventually you'll come up with your own catchphrases, and you hope that they catch on. If you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. It just came out one night. I think it was like in the early 90s, and it just kind of caught on. And I saved it for the very special plays in a game, maybe the most amazing dunk, or, it was always a play that got everyone, out of their seats. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. Oh, boy. It was always like, it was for the big moments. So I didn't use it every game, because if you overused it, then it would lose its kind of punch,
That was awesome. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talked about those trademark catchphrases. I've always kind of been told that, for every 99 for every 100 catchphrases you use, 99 don't work. So how do you find that sort of balance of trying to find like this one works, or hey, maybe this is something I should continue doing, but also I really can't overuse this, because if I do, then it doesn't really become signature anymore?
I always let the public determine what worked and what didn't. And I got instant feedback because I had a radio show every day. And they would let me know what they liked and what they didn't like. But you have to be careful. You can't manufacture these things and force it. It has to be natural. It has to be spontaneous. And as you said, it can't be phony. You can overdo it. You have to be very careful. There's a very fine line. And again, when I would say, turn the sprinkler systems on, Peja Stojakovic is on fire. Again, I might go 2 or 3 weeks without saying that line. You may have watched 3 or 4 or 5 Kings games and not hear me say, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball, because I save them for the special moments. And I think as you guys go through and progress in your career, you'll find that out. And again, it's all about spontaneity, because in sports, when you're announcing a game, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, right? I mean, I did a game in Oakland 7 or 8 years ago where Klay Thompson scored 37 points in the third quarter. Now think about that. He scored 37 points in the third quarter. Most players that play their entire career in the NBA never have a 37-point game. He had 37 points in one quarter. I never knew that was going to happen, and it's unfolding right in front of you, and you have to react to it, and you've never seen anything like it before, but it's just all got to be spontaneous.
Well, Okay, sounds good, Jordan.
100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Back here on Newhouse Afternoon with Max Gifford. I'm Nico Horning, joined by the former Sacramento Kings broadcaster Grant Napear. Grant, thanks so much for joining us. During that break on Q Sports Talk, we were kind of talking about your favorite memories, your catchphrases. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like Kings basketball. You talked about a moment with Klay Thompson, 37 points in the third quarter 7 years ago, I believe. What were some of your favorite moments as the Kings broadcaster, some of the moments you got to call and witness with Sacramento? Because obviously, I mean, they just made the playoffs last year, but for much of my childhood, I'm 20 years old, I haven't had a good team to watch. And right when I was born, they were obviously really good. So what is that moment for you?
I have a couple of them. Kings were down 35 points with 6 minutes left to go in the third quarter in Chicago when Tyreek Evans was a rookie and they won the game. That always sticks out to me. I announced the Game 4 Kings-Lakers 2002 Western Conference Finals. I was doing that game on radio. That was the Robert Horry shot. The first ever playoff game at Arco Arena in Sacramento in 95-96. It was 96 when they played George Karl's Seattle Supersonics when Gary Payton was the point guard. The Kings had won Game 2 up in Seattle in a best-of-5. It was tied 1-1. That Game 3 always sticks out because it went right down to the wire. But it's more of the individual performances. I was blessed to announce when Kareem played, Magic played, Larry Bird, going to the old Chicago Stadium and announce the games with Michael Jordan and the Bulls. I was blessed to do the first ever game that LeBron James played as a player in the NBA. Those are some of the ones that stick out. But, again, sometimes it can be a nothing game in the winter where you're not thinking much, and then all of a sudden you get a guy like Klay Thompson, he scores 37 points in one quarter. It's like if you go to a baseball game, right? You end up, you think it's two bad teams, and you end up witnessing like a perfect game or a no-hitter. You never forget it.
Definitely.
Grant, I want to ask you, we had Eric Collins on this show just a couple weeks ago and talked about kind of the shift in the NBA, and I know you've been out of it for a little bit, but the NBA this year incorporated the in-season, the play-in tournament for a chance to win some money at the end. I was interested. What is your view on sort of the that in-season tournament and incorporating that? Because I know Eric Collins was not a big fan of it, especially as a broadcaster, because of trying to make sure he was amusing, to try to make sure that through 82 games you were amusing fans, and he felt that it was kind of an insult to him.
I agree. I don't like it either. I think it devalues the 82-game season. Yeah, it does create a little greater interest for the teams down near the bottom, like, for instance, 9, 10, 11, 12 that are fighting for that play-in. But, why play the 82 games? I'm not really a fan of the way the NBA game is played in particular. I don't like the way the game's played. Call me an old man, call me old-fashioned, but there's no more post-play. Guys don't play with their back to the basket. 7-footers are taking 3-pointers. It's like kind of baseball where you either hit a home run or you strike out. The ball's not in play enough. I think analytics has really hurt professional sports, particularly the sports that I just named. And it's really come into play in the NFL. I mean, you look at all the coaches now that go for it on fourth downs. That never used to happen before. And you look at what happened a couple of weeks ago with the Lions when they elected to go for it and not kick field goals. So analytics has really changed the way the games are played. But in the way the NBA, it's a 3-point shooting contest right now. And I don't really like that. I like more of the post play. I like the ball going inside, outside. The game really was never meant to come down on a 3-on-1 or a 4-on-1 and give up and instead of getting a wide open layup or a wide open dunk, kick the ball out for a 3. It's just not really the way the game was meant to be played, but that's the way it's played now. But I'm with Eric Collins. I'm not a fan of the play-in tournament.
Definitely. Well, we'll see how the Kings play the rest of the season. I was watching your post game last night with Ryan. That was a big win, by the way, for the Kings. But I want to circle things back to kind of the talk radio aspect of things, because obviously that's what we're doing right now. You had this thing called Grant's Rant. You still do it on your podcast, and I just growing up. I mean, it was so cool that you could just take a certain topic and run with it, whether people agreed or not. How did that idea transpire, and how did you keep that relevant over the years?
You just got to come up with ideas like, all right, so why didn't I go to Syracuse? Let me tell you why I didn't go to Syracuse. Because you know what? I would have never made it to class. How am I going to get up at 8 in the morning and walk across the campus in Syracuse and make it to a class on the other side of campus? Are you freaking kidding me? Have you been up to upstate New York in the wintertime? The winter starts in October. Like, I got to make it to the Carrier Dome? All right, that's fine and dandy. I'm at the game. I'm watching, 35,000 people watch Carmelo Anthony play. But how am I going to get home after that? I got to walk. I'm going to freeze my butt off. I'm not going to make it home. The heck with that. You know what? I love Syracuse. I like to watch them on TV, but I'm not going up there and freezing my butt off for 6 months out of the year. And that's my rant for today. You just come up with different, you come up with different ideas, and you mostly keep it to sports. But there are some times when I branch off and keep it. Like, I did a rant on metered ramps. It drives me crazy getting on a highway and there are metered ramps to get on a highway. There shouldn't be metered ramps to get on a highway. So I did a rant on that. I did a rant when I was taking a red eye to New York one night, and a rather large person sat next to me, and I did a rant on that. And to this day, of all the rants that I've done, people say it's the best rant I've done. You can check it out on YouTube. It's called Grant Napier's Fat Rant, and you can go look it up. People love that rant. Yeah.
And I remember the roundabout one and the Christmas one. The Christmas one always gets me. That was oh my gosh, that was awesome.
I was gonna say, nice little shameless plug also there. We'll have to go and check that out once we're out of here. Yeah. But we've only got a couple minutes left in this show, Grant. We just had Kevin Brown on just about 20 minutes ago. We asked him the same question, and I'm going to ask you the question as well. If you could go back and look at yourself, a nice, energetic 20-year-old, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self, especially as someone trying to break into this industry like me and Nico are as aspiring broadcasters?
Great question, Max. The one beauty and the one thing about this profession is you don't necessarily have to have a job to get experience. You can do a lot on your own, particularly when it comes to talk radio, sports talk radio, or play-by-play. You can go to a game and sit in a corner of a bleachers of a high school game. You can turn the volume down on the TV. And I tell you what I think is the most important thing, and I swore by this as a kid. In all my years of broadcasting, I never had a script in front of me. When I used to anchor the sports on the news at night, I'll never forget the first time I did a sportscast and my director goes, "Where are the scripts?" All I handed in was 5 or 6 sheets of paper with an intro, Kings, Bulls, roll the tape. And he goes, "Where's the script?" I go, "I don't use scripts." He goes, "No, I need scripts." I go, "I don't use scripts." My point I'm trying to tell you here is learn how to ad lib, take bullet points, if you're doing a story on the Syracuse game last night or whatever, take 5 or 6 bullet points and try to just make a story out of it and talk casually, conversationally, instead of reading. I believe that ad-libbing and knowing how to ad-lib is so important. All the commercials that I've done where I am an endorser of sponsors, never once read off a script, had bullet points, so that every time I read it, it might sound a little different because I'm ad-libbing it. I think ad-libbing and learning how to do a sports report or an intro, whatever the case may be, without reading word for word, I believe that's a great way to go. It's not for everybody, but I really would advise that. If you can learn how to ad-lib based on just bullet points, I think it's going to be phenomenal in your career.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that advice. Grant, as we wrap up shop here, just want to, thank you for hopping on here today. You've been just a huge integral part of my broadcast career, and wishing you all the best going forward. Hope to see you soon. And thanks for hopping on, and go Kings.
Thank you so much, Grant.
Well, Max, Nico, I want to see you guys be the next Noah Eagle, okay? So follow in his footsteps right out of Syracuse. I'll be watching you on the big tube, okay?
Definitely. Thank you, Grant. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Grant Napear, former Sacramento Kings broadcaster here, as this hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more info. With Max Gifford, I'm Nico Horning. This has been the 2 o'clock hour of Newhouse Afternoon. Stay here for Kieran and Nate coming up next right here on Newhouse Afternoon on ESPN Syracuse and Q Sports Talk. Thanks so much.